Greetings and welcome back to Stellaris, my Commonwealth of Man playthrough. We're going to be gearing up for war here. We're getting close to our naval capacity, and I will need more fortresses and strongholds. Strongholds, not fortresses. I don't have the tech for fortresses yet. I would like to get my defense platform set up before we actually go to war and get my fleets built. I'm going to have at least 3 fleets, possibly 4. It depends on how much development our worlds get and
anomaly found.
How many barracks or strongholds I can build. Interference. Ship sensors are picking up an unexplained pattern of interference in the Koldak system. Well, research that. Our consumer goods are dropping a little bit, but we are in the process of building industrial districts on St. Natchbull, which is our factory world, so that will take care of it. It's about 2/3 of the way done. Fire in the sky. The history of Kondra II and its lost civilization was uncovered, and although tragic, by galactic standards it was sadly typical. A civilization arose, growing in technical sophistication, if not social and political harmony. Eventually they created the tools of their own destruction, and then used them. If the fate of this world and its denizens was not unique, there was something that was, and it captured the imagination of our scientific minds. The ceaseless aurora borealis effect dancing unperturbed above all the devastation. Upon closer study, the aurora effect in the sky displayed repeating patterns, which defies all previous knowledge of weather systems. Is there some message here? Well, it's little surprise that Xenos ended up killing themselves. They need our guidance. So I started building a city district here on Dawnlight because I'll have another population in about 14 months. And also 14 months here, but I can wait here because I plan on building a mining district, which only takes about 7 months. The CNS Traveler crew has succeeded in isolating a signal embedded in the unusual pattern of interference in the Koldak system. The signal is a song, a complex sonification of an advanced mathematical equation to be precise, and one that Science Officer Cassandra Popovic cannot seem to get out of their head. Who or what may have composed this song remains unknown, though its complexity infers an incredible level of technological sophistication regarding subspace harmonics. The signal's geodesics suggest a point of origin from outside our galaxy. This will eventually mature into an L-gate insight. And it gives us a boost to society and physics research, which should make both of these a little bit faster. There we go. Now, I don't think they'll get the entire bonus because we'll be burning through our stored research fairly quickly. Probably about 12 months for each of these. So yeah, I don't think we'll go the full 19 months. And we have finally gotten our next tradition, so we are going to open up domination. If we do not impose our will on others, they will inevitably impose theirs on us. This will reduce our clear Bacher costs by another 1/3. We're already getting 1/3 reduced. And then we'll be able to boost up our enforcers and run an edict that boosts our slave and worker populations. But that will have to wait till after we get supremacy, because now we are going to go back to supremacy and start finishing this one, because we are gearing for war. Actually, despite the fact we'll be getting another Ignar Vol in 11 months, I think I'm going to hold off on building another mining district here. I'd rather make use of the building slot so that we slow our empire size increase. And I'd like to save up for a research lab because this world gets a bonus to society research. It will make another good research world, and we'll be able to shift some humans over here to help with the low stability, or the fact that the stability is dropping because we have too many slaves compared to humans. Now we can start clearing out some of the things here. Now the sprawling slum would give us another population that we don't really have anything to work just yet. So I think we're going to start with the industrial wasteland. It will free up a generator district, as well as allowing us to build another generator district because we will have an extra district. So this only takes about 4 months and about 100 now because we have both mastery of nature and domination traditions. Now another thing we can do is we also now have access to the mastery of nature that will extend our maximum districts. We have the spare influence for this, we just need to build up more energy credits, which is another reason I would like to start adding more districts here since this is going to be a generator world. I'm going to go ahead and switch the species that is growing here to Farine. We have enough other worlds growing humans, I think. With surplus Farine, especially since our amenities are getting low, we can have servants and we can start shifting them to other worlds to fill, say, the clerk jobs to free up our workers for other things. We'd actually be able to shuffle some of these guys off. We're about done with the industrial wasteland. Let's go ahead and start removing the sprawling slum. Next. Now we can precede that because it won't be completed in the next 3 months. So in January, I can actually start working on a generator district instead and push the sprawling slum off a little bit. We're actually developing enough alloys now that while I am reinforcing the fleet, I can go back to expanding my empire. Well, not quite just yet. We need to have about 80 left over after I start a reinforcement, but we're getting close, and I might actually get Valimar next so I can get an additional alloy. Of course, that is also going to slow down my buildings while I build all of these stations. We found another archaeological site, the Endless Expanse. So maybe we take this one from Organus and move here. It'll take over a year to get there. We'll definitely be done surveying this area before I arrive. So we do currently have an unemployed Iknerval here on Doron because we have gotten an additional human. Though the human is less effective than the Iknerval, I think we would rather move the human off-world. There was a world, yes, Flaxington can use an enforcer. So we will resettle that human here from Doron. And I have begun building a generator district before I continue removing the sprawling slum. That way we will have additional jobs here. We'll go ahead and start removing this industrial wasteland. Region is covered by ruined industrial complexes and toxic soil, detritus from a past age of progress, so that we can free up our last 2 mining districts. We probably will start shifting these agriculture to mining districts just to beef up our mineral output. We have completed Beautiful Bubble, Song of the Solitaire. It's alive. The Aurora is in fact some previously unknown form of life. There is some kind of enigmatic, semi-sentient entity living in the upper atmosphere. Somehow it can manipulate magnetism and ionization, tweaking the atmosphere to display lights in the sky according to its unknowable alien whims. Some theorize it is trying to communicate. Some believe it is merely playing, or even singing with lights. The Xenology Department reports all attempts at translation are utterly futile, given the totally incompatible physiology of this entity. Is it trying to send us a warning? Lament its dead world? Gloating in triumph? All we can do is leave it there in the sky to sing its alien song. So we do get a bonus to monthly unity out of that. And it apparently has no termination. The Science Division has managed to reproduce the ethereal hymn sung by an encountered Aurora Borealis entity. All energy production facilities now have harmonic systems that amplifies the yield. And that also allows us to set up a station to extract the resources here. So let's actually take this ship. Well, this one is closer. How close is it to the actually leaving the system? Okay, it's already almost down to that other system. So yes, we will take this one and tell it to build that research station and then return here. So it's going to take 2 years just for the journey. Oh, and our scientists now need something to do. Let's go ahead and head back this way and survey these 2 systems. And then we will come back to Zerk so that we can proceed to Beta Ursa Majoris and start claiming all of the ones back here. We're just about done with this industrial wasteland. We'll have more population to shift around here. We're getting low on consumer goods again, and I also still want alloys. So we are actually going to queue up another industrial district first here on Unity. Speaking of which, we actually have an unemployed oxygen on Flaxington. I think it's time to run an experiment on one of my other worlds, St. Natchbull, and see how they compare to the natives for resource gathering on this world. So we can compare them with the Farine. The Farine produces 7.2, they produce 6.9, so they are not as effective on this world as the Farine. And since they are currently chattel slaves, that would be the same for the other species we have. Since they would not be native here, even with a 10% bonus, they would not be as effective as the Farine. But we can always get an extra clerk on Earth, so we will take that person from St. Natchbull and bring them to Unity. So we'll have a little bit extra food from them as a farmer.
System reconnaissance completed.
We finally finished Kuldax, and this constructor is on its way. We'll go ahead and start pushing forward to see where these connections go. If this dead ends here instead of extending into their territory, we should be able to push our choke point up this way. For now, we are going to close out these gas plant engineer jobs and shift these over to be researchers, because we still don't really have a need for exotic gases, and we've accumulated quite enough right now. I would rather have the research until we get to that point. And we'll also start building another mining district here, since we need the housing that the mining district will produce. An Arctic world. Looks like it does continue onward that way. I'm running another experiment on Leffingwell, and I want another source of the Ichnerval over the Oxynanoliters. These guys are weak, so even with the 10% bonus for being chattel slaves, they're in the end only getting a 7.5% bonus, while these guys are very strong, so they end up getting a 12.5. So they don't produce as much resources as these do on their native world. They also have less habitability. However, we are eventually going to switch these guys over to battle thralls, which means that these guys will then exceed them for resource production. So I do want to get them started over here. And I'm going to go ahead and shift one of these pops off to Dawnlight, so we can see just how much resources we will end up losing. So these guys will produce 9.1 versus 10.1. We'll be losing a whole point of each resource, of each of the food resources. But then again, food is something we have in abundance at this time. And we've begun the final generator district since we did clear out the sprawling slum here. And here on Unity, we have a forgotten civilization to clear out when we finish the industrial district. And I do need to check my spies before I proceed onward. Almost there, probably another year or two. It'd probably be a couple of years before we hit 40 and I will start preparing sleeper cells. We do have somebody who's going to be really good at preparing the sleeper cells. Now I do want to go ahead and start building this outpost before I reinforce another ship. I do need to start using up some of my influence, even though it is rather cheap for me to expand.
Anomaly found.
A sign of precursor activity. It'll take 2 years. We will go ahead and research that because it'll be a while before I hit level 5 anyway. Dawnlight is about to upgrade to a planetary administration. That'll free up several humans that were working down here as they shift up a tier.
Science Division reports a new breakthrough.
Ocean ecology management. Given enough processing power, network sensors and distributed stations, even the ocean currents can be managed to a fine level of control. So now we can clear toxic kelp. A thick forest of kelp that is toxic to most forms of life covers the ocean in this region. And we have 4 planets that have toxic kelp to remove. We could begin the amoeba breeding program, but no rush on that. Frequency tuning would give us something that would siphon shields fairly quickly. We also have 6 dense jungle to clean out. And I believe actually getting selective defoliants would probably be a priority. Let's see. 70 months for that. That's 6 years. Or 7 years for this. I think we will go for this. I do not have a new world specialist or a biologist. Now, as for those features we have to remove, we have 2 of them here on Dawnlight. They are blocking minerals and agriculture, and we do need to get the one blocking the minerals. Oh, that's dense jungle. But yeah, we do need to get, we have minerals and generator districts being blocked. We do need to get the one blocking the minerals so we can extend our mining here, but that will wait till after the planetary administration is done. We have 2 here on Leffingwell. No, we have 1 here on Leffingwell, and it is blocking agriculture districts, and we are going to need to expand our agriculture here so we can extend it off-world. We're not currently doing anything else, so we will start removing this. It'll take 6 months and free up some rugged woods. The rugged woods are blocked by toxic kelp. That is odd. Are we basically pushing the ocean back and raising up an island with cold rocky woods with herbaceous understories? Or is the toxic kelp preventing us from getting to a wooded island? And I believe we have a toxic kelp here on Doran that is blocking generator districts. Another thing we need on this world. Hot springs. Groundwater heated by geothermal processes steams from the surface of these springs. So we will begin doing that. It'll start as soon as this generator district is completed.
Construction complete.
So we have Kuldax now. There are 4 mining stations we can build in here that will help our minerals and energy credits. We'll go ahead and get started on them. Again, this is going to end up delaying our planetary development a little bit, unfortunately. Just about a 4-month delay is what it's going to end up being. We are going to switch this from an agri world to a forge world here on Leffingwell. That is going to cut into our farming. Let's see exactly how much. It was producing 80. Now it will be producing 68. So we're going to drop about 12. We have sufficient surplus to handle that. And once we get this toxic kelp cleared, we can build another agricultural district. And we are going to start working on an industrial district so that we can have more alloy production to really speed up our fleets and defenses. Speaking of speeding up our fleets, right now we cannot reinforce this fleet because it is in transit. It says no shipyard available to build. Yes, there are shipyards available to build. But if we let it progress a few days, we can start the reinforcement when it is not in transit between systems. Unable to build a mining station in Coldax, resources have been refunded. Let us buy 100 minerals. And then hit Control Shift right click to go ahead and tell it go back and build that mining station now that you have the resources. And since I get 100 a month, I should have another 100 saved up for it before it gets to the next location.
Construction complete.
We have that research station. And we are on our way back to Valimar.
Blocker cleared.
The crew, Hidden Worlds. The crew clearing the toxic kelp on Leffingwell has made a breathtaking discovery. Ensnared and almost entirely obscured by the venomous plants is a colossal alien space station. Architecturally stunning and built with technology far superior to our own, it is a true work of art. The station appears to have crashed to the surface, surviving the impact thanks to its unusual shielding capabilities, which our scientists are now eager to examine. Regrettably, an archaeological excavation would prevent us from working the land until its completion. Well, those are shields. We're going to need them. We will excavate that site on Leffingwell. So that ended up giving us a blocker to replace the blocker we just cleared. But we now have an archaeological site that is going to pop up there in Dultari. I guess after we finish surveying these two systems, I will actually send him to clear that and that before I start exploring further on. It depends on if... because she's going to be busy for a while.
Recon pass completed.
A crashed alien spaceship has been unearthed on Leffingwell after being buried for many millennia. The masterful construction previously held a self-contained arthropoid civilization of millions. Their dead bodies have been preserved within the station, making exploration of the otherwise magnificent interior an eerie endeavor. Though the cause of their civilization's demise is not yet clear, the inhabitants perished suddenly, well before impact. Some died peacefully clutching tiny idols, while others, bearing weapons, suffered violent trauma. How long have they been dead? Millennia? Okay, yeah, so yeah, we can't make like lobster tails and crab legs. Well, we finish that one. We'll go ahead and survey this system and then send him to excavate that site. Or better yet, we will go ahead and excavate the site now. And we will send this constructor to Grekel. And we will build a station there. It'll provide us some energy and mining with just 200 minerals. And building the station will allow us to see if there was something dangerous there our science ship would have run into anyway. You never know where they may tuck away a Leviathan or some other danger. There could be mining drones in there for all I know. Or more space amoeba. And I can go ahead and queue up the construction next month because I should have, well, it'll take 2 more months. So I'll actually be able to queue it up in January when I have the alloys. And we'll go ahead and remove this forgotten civilization. The ruins of a forgotten civilization that lived here before us. Get that cleared out of the way since we're not doing anything else, even though we really won't need the agricultural districts. It is blocking a vast stretch of open plains, providing ideal farmland, but we want to use Unity for mining right now. Looks like we still need another year to year and a half to have the 40 infiltration level I want to start preparing the sleeper cells. I like to have a little bit extra in case we get some bad events. We're going to go ahead and throw down another mining district on Flaxington. I really should build a housing district, but I don't want to completely drain my minerals since I do have constructors out there doing things. I could always buy 100 minerals just to be sure and go ahead and build a city district instead to boost my housing. But I don't mind it slowing down the population growth a little bit. I would rather start getting more minerals so that we can really start developing these worlds. Because as it is, I'm having to develop like one world at a time every so many months and then shuffle population around instead of allowing them to become unemployed. We can go ahead and start freeing up these ore-veined cliffs. Bands of valuable mineral oils run like veins through these exposed cliff faces. After we complete the planetary administration here, so that we would be able to add more mining districts here as well. Now this is one world I really don't have to worry about not having available jobs since we are generating servants. It's housing I'm more worried about here, but I can always shift surplus servants to other worlds that could use the amenities. And this is a world I really need to start developing the building slots on. Now I should have time to get the minerals I need after setting up a building. I think we will go with an Autochthon monument here first before we add another administrative office, because this will boost citizen happiness. We currently have a 63 pop approval rating. That will boost it up and also give us a little bit extra naval capacity. As a matter of fact, one more of those on another world would be sufficient to give me the 60 naval capacity I need to fully complete Strike Force Gorgon. We have received a communique from a previously unknown spacefaring empire that called themselves the Hierarchy of Moffith. They claim to have learned of our existence by listening in on the communications of another empire that we are in contact with. A despotic empire. I speak on behalf of the Hierarchy of Moffith, and I bring you greetings. Our great leader, Emperor Amothethet the First, is very pleased to have made contact with your unique species, and we look forward to an exchange of culture and ideas. Do not interfere in our endeavors, aliens. They're over this way. So who gave them communications with us? Was it the Loptarians? It wasn't the Loptarians. Or the Uthabulan allied clans. And if it's not them, it is not going to be their allied empire, because they should all have the same contacts. They had to have gotten it through the archivist, which means they may be on friendly terms with the archivist, or possibly the Marauders. Now let's see where they rank. They're actually fairly weak as well compared to us. And they closed their borders to us. My borders are already closed to you. I don't care. Nodal consciousness discovered. Organic singularity. Natfankin explorers on Ofang 4 have discovered a previously unknown species of molluscoid On its own, each of these creatures barely qualifies as sapient. However, when two or more are joined through physical contact, they form a semi-conscious node. Theoretically, these nodes should be capable of an exponential growth in cognitive power. Simply put, the people of Afang 4 have stumbled onto a biological thinking machine. Given time, this discovery could herald the advent of an organic singularity. We can watch and learn, prevent the singularity, or promote it. Whatever we select, we are stuck with. Promoting it takes a lot of science research, pretty much all of our physics research and Unity research. Preventing it takes about half of it. Watching and learning takes nothing. Since it's on a primitive civilization, I'm not that worried about it. We will just watch and learn and see what happens. Of course, I believe what this is going to do is be the birth of a primitive hive. And we cannot integrate hive minds into our empire. So it'll be something we end up having to either eradicate or cede the territory to them and make them a vassal. But let's watch and learn for now.
Construction complete.
So we've completed the Koldak system. All of our mining stations there. We will head back to Valimar. I now have this fleet with the 20 it's going to get of the interceptors. I can start adding the other design, the pickets. We're going to want 10 more of them. They're actually cheaper, so we should be able to flesh them out fairly quickly. Now we have an unemployed population here. We can move them to Unity, because we do have clerk jobs available we can push our humans to. Oh, it put them as a clerk. No. I want them being a technician because we provide 9.1, they provide 9.3. It's a very small extra bonus, but I would rather have them working these jobs. Since they provide 9.3 energy credits, they would also provide 9.3 food. So yeah, they're not as effective as the oxyanilators right now. But again, I'm planning on changing their slavery type. I could actually do it now to battle thralls. That will boost their happiness by 10%. And increase the damage they do, but that decreases the effectiveness of their mining and stuff. But we're going to go ahead and do that. Battle thralls are weaponized serfs, often trained from birth in the martial arts and conditioned for absolute obedience. In exchange for unquestioning military service, they are granted much more autonomy than other slaves and can be employed in a greater variety of jobs. Really? They cannot perform ruler or specialist jobs with the sole exception of working as soldiers. Soldiers are worker jobs. And these guys can be every worker job there is. So unless there's something wrong here, let's go ahead and switch them over. Yeah, it says battle thralls now. Even though it didn't update here, I can fix that by switching off of that and back to it. There we go. Sometimes this screen is a little delayed in its updates. So now I can go here. They're only providing 8.8, so let's switch to generating the Ignor Vol, who will be more effective at these jobs than them now. But I am curious if they can be enforcers. But this is not a world I can test that on, because we have so many humans. Even if I close out the enforcer job and reopen it, I assumed a human would fit into it, but I was mistaken. So yes, they can be enforcers, which means as enforcers, they have cheaper upkeep because they don't require consumer goods than humans, and the armies they generate are stronger. So that frees up humans for other jobs. So we do have an unemployed human here on Earth. We'll have one here as well. I thought we would. No, we don't have one of those guys here. But we can reopen our gas plant engineer jobs and shift one of those guys over here and the unemployed human from the other city here on Flaxington. Let's close out the enforcer job and resettle an oxygenator from Leffingwell, because we do have some oxygenators as farmers. We will also resettle our unemployed humans from Unity. That gets our gas plant engineer jobs full. So Unity has gotten rid of that unemployed human. We do have an available technician, so we do need to move an Ichner Vol over here. We've got to move this human to another job before we can get the oxygenator up there to be that. We've got surplus humans here, so we do need to get some more advanced jobs for them. St. Natchbull, we do not have an oxygenator over here yet, but we will be able to move one. And we need a couple of Ichner Vol over here. Let's see if we can displace this human. No. So we're going to have to move that human off-world first. Now we've got a clerk we could shift away from this world to work the farms over here. They're not as effective even on their native world, even though these guys are chattel slaves. And these are battle thralls. They are still more effective on this world because of the habitability. So I think we do need to replace our Ichner Vol here. We'll go ahead and have this growing the oxygenators since it is their native world. But for now, we will move one of the clerks here over to Leffingwell so that we're providing enough food we won't be in a deficit, or hopefully won't be. Now we're about to get 2 industrial districts here. So we'll have a place to shift some humans to get them away from being enforcers and allow the oxygenators to move up. But we're still going to need more oxygenators here. And as soon as it rolls over to November, we'll see how much of a deficit we're in.
Construction complete.
We're currently losing 1.25. And I did save up enough that I should be able to just say, build these mining stations. Oh, what do we have here? A Savannah world. Okay, that's not that critical then. After we build the mining stations here, we will move to Reganis. And it appears we are in a fairly big deficit for food, having lost all of the bonus the oxygenators were providing. We'll go ahead and clear up this other toxic kelp because we're not ready to do further construction here just yet. This one is blocking a hot springs. Let's shift one of these clerks to be a technician for now. Now we should be able to spare both of these clerks, because I have a place that is going to need humans. We have 2 available metallurgist jobs here. Well, actually, we only need 1 shifted over, because we can shift an enforcer over and then get an oxen ladder over here. But we will take 1 human clerk from Unity and 1 oxen ladder miner from Dawnlight. Says they became a farmer. It should have been an enforcer, but apparently it pulled up. It did not pull him up to be an enforcer. Let's drop one of the farmers. Alright, let's drop another farmer. That should have moved him up. Yes, he's now an enforcer. Now, I don't believe slaves need to wait to demote, so if I ever want to kick him out of being an enforcer, he should immediately demote to a lower stratum. Since he's not free, he's a slave. Just like the way that robots worked in that when we first had droids in the United Nations of Earth playthrough. Now, what we need is to start working on another Autochthon monument. But that's going to cost us consumer goods. So we need to save up to get another industrial district here on St. Natchbull so that we can get a Autochthon monument on another world. We could actually go into constructing the Autochthon monument here, but we are already in the middle of removing toxic kelp anyway. We could also do it here on St. Natchbull and then build the industrial district. Which, since this takes a year, let's go ahead and get it underway. We could stand to lose a little bit of consumer goods for a short period of time. Now let's check our spy. Alright, we are now going to begin preparing sleeper cells here with the Uthabul and allied clans, and we will assign our asset, our bureaucrat, because that should give us a bonus for both fields and make this extremely easy. We have more pressing uses for our intelligence operatives at this time, but with careful preparations, we can preserve most of our spy network for future needs. Now, our espionage network over here is probably about 4 or 5 years away from being able to prepare sleeper cells with a cushion. So, espionage right now is not going to be a steady drain on our influence to keep it in check. As you see, it's getting bigger and bigger. That's one of the reasons I had decided to go ahead and start claiming systems again. Because I believe I have enough to start building another starbase. No, a little bit short on the alloys, but I definitely have enough influence. By March, we should be getting a tech and a tradition.
Field engineers have cleared a blocker.
You can't complete that last one? Well, I guess I will just have to buy 100 minerals so that you can. You're going this way anyway, so build that mining station on your way. Now, my minerals had dropped significantly, especially since I reopened my strategic resource refineries. And we're still in a pretty big food deficit. The ruins of a large prison complex have been discovered on Niamba Prime. The hostile world seems to have served as some kind of maximum security penal colony in the First League. As a federal facility, the prison housed convicted felons from across all of League space. Surviving records indicate most of the prisoners were guilty of piracy, terrorism, and other crimes of extraordinary nature. Fossilized remains from some prisoners can still be found where the cells used to be.
New sitrep.
So before we finish our surveys, we will go ahead and research that project. It should take 6 months, and that will be half of the artifacts we need to find the first leaks.
Science Division reports success.
We have unlocked specialized combat computers, active matrices tuned for specific combat-centric tasks, greatly improve engagement efficiency. Now we can boost our energy credits, our shields, or our colony development speed. And since we do have a computing person in here, I do want to boost the combat development speed because there are a couple more planets we can develop colonies on, and we will also need this when we have access to habitats. It'll take 7 years, currently. Now we have ships in transit. No more are being built right now. We just have a few ships in transit until August. So we will hold off on reinforcing more right now. I might actually end up building a defense platform first. We do need to get our naval capacity up anyway, so that we can redesign our ships when they arrive. And then we'll have to upgrade our fleets. We're still doing a good job of keeping the piracy under control right now. I believe the first one we will get will be Master Shipwrights. This will reduce the cost to build up our fleets, allowing our alloys to be built on defense platforms. The ever-increasing scope of our shipbuilding programs has led to the creation of highly skilled and efficient labor forces at our shipyards. Methods have continually been refined, and the time it takes to go from hull plating to a completed starship is now shorter than ever before. Next one we will probably do will be the fleet logistics, so that we can go ahead and unlock a higher fleet command limit. That way maybe we could just stick with 2 fleets and just up how many, because they can go all the way up to 50 ships. Let's go ahead and queue up the starbase here, since we have the alloys currently. Our operatives are drawing up a short list of potential sleeper cells within the Uthubul and allied clans. They hope to find a set of suitable positions where agents may appear innocuous and yet remain poised to strike for a prolonged period of time. And we should be able to establish the sleeper cells fairly quickly because we have a high-skilled operative there. Or an appropriate operative, I should say. Asset.
Construction complete.
We're also going to go ahead and queue up the starbase here. It drains our influence a little bit, and we have the alloys right now. Biological calculators. Through persistent experimentation, the people of Ofang 4 have begun to use the recently discovered nodal consciousness as a rudimentary thinking machine. Now capable of completing complex mathematical calculations, the inhabitants are making breakthroughs in science and technology at a previously unheard of pace. As soon as we finish this toxic kelp, we're actually going to buy another 100 minerals. And here on Dawnlight, we are going to start building an Autochthon monument. That will get us our second Autochthon monument, which should push our naval capacity up to where it needs to be. Or our third, I meant. And we actually could shift some humans over here. Actually, we could close out the enforcer job. And shift one of the oxygenators from Unity over there. Now if I open the enforcer job, yes, it pulled him up. Now, let's actually shift a miner over to be a farmer here. Well, these guys make better miners, that's the problem. We could close out a clerk job, just to make sure we have a farmer. We're 16 months away from upgrading our armor, but that's not as critical at this point. We could wait another 16 months and upgrade all of our ships, and go ahead and fill out this fleet in the meantime. There's always the chance we could finish this early. But yes, I think we are going to wait until the armor is completed before we do our ship upgrades. So we'll hold off on planning ships until we get the armor. It's only another year.
Special project complete.
The archaeological mission to Niamba Prime has uncovered evidence of what appears to be a failed escape attempt some distance south of the prison complex. A toppled utility vehicle from the prison was found behind a small cliff. And several kilometers beyond that, the remains of several prisoners in stolen pressure suits were huddled together. They seem to have died of asphyxiation when the oxygen supply in their suits ran out. For whatever reason, the prison authorities evidently saw no reason to collect the bodies. Well, that gave us some physics research to speed up our colony development speed a bit. I think after we finish this survey, we're going to go here to survey this system. That'll help us see where this connection goes on or it becomes a dead end.
Anomaly found.
Sensors report that a shipwreck of unidentified origin has been sighted in orbit of Niamba. Yeah, we'll get that supply ship wreckage. A list of targets has been finalized and our operatives have begun quietly drifting their way into position. They await our signal to begin establishing sleeper cells. We need to get another agriculture district up and running on Leffingwell to take care of our food deficit. Now, if we look at our designs for our platforms, they automatically got the upgraded combat computer. Now, it is going to take us an upgrade to add the armor to them, but that's not as critical, I don't think, to waiting to develop them. Now that we have a chunk of alloys, I think I need to start getting my defense platform set up here. We're going to need 2 hangar classes, 2 missile platforms, and then 1 of each of the others. So we'll start with our first hangar. Reports from Operation Prepare Sleeper Cells are favorable so far. An influx of mysterious, untraceable credits has allowed our operatives to the financial clout and falsified references necessary to walk into mid-level positions in many of the leading Uthabulan corporations. From there, they will be able to update us on the latest happenings in the Uthabulan allied clans and maintain our long-term ability to conduct operations there should we wish it. Now that'll last 15 years, where we get a bonus to operation skill and we can pull this spy without worrying about decay. We could sacrifice our bureaucrat to get 30 years instead of 15. This bureaucrat is going to be useful to me right now. We're going to keep him and just do the 15 years. Now, even though we could pull this operative out and start working somewhere else, I'm going to leave this operative here, and we are going to start acquiring another asset. And we are going to use our bureaucrat. Now, that weights it toward their type. But it does give us a good chance of success. We can tempt or coerce operatives and other assets who would be of use to our intelligence operations, recruiting them for a price. Assigning an asset to this operation may skew the results toward their interest. And while we're at it, we're almost ready. That'd be another 2 years, maybe 3, before we can perform the sleeper cells here. Our crew aboard the CNS Traveler reported that the Niamba shipwreck appears to have been the result of an unexpected geomagnetic solar storm. The supply ship suffered a complete loss of life support systems and sustained inoperable damage, drifting until it entered Niamba's gravity well. There are no survivors. The ship's cargo hold does indeed contain a notable amount of minerals. However, the captain of the CNS Traveler cautions that the construction indicates Latrepian design. It is highly likely that the minerals belong to the United Latrepian domains, and they may be displeased should we lay claim to their shipment. Well, that's a pity that they're going to be displeased, but we're taking those minerals. And that gave us 10 intel on them. Not infiltration, but intel. That's going to allow us to get another
Construction complete.
industrial district going in Unity that will boost our consumer goods and alloys. Speaking of boosting alloys, let's start by building that mining station. And I guess we will get the mineral one first. But then we are going for this alloy one before we get the research station. Now that is going to take several months. I do need to buy another 100 minerals because I need 500 minerals for Unity to begin building another industrial district. We actually need 2 humans over here to be the culture workers, but because we are in a deficit of consumer goods, it's no rush to bring them over. One of them is already here. We just need to transfer over an oxygenator to be the new enforcer. But we also need the oxygenators to replace the Ichner Vol here as farmers. That will help as well with our food shortage. Now we're 1 year away from completing the armor, at which point we'll upgrade these ships and then continue reinforcing Strike Force Gorgon. But it has been another 5 years, so thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.